So good afternoon, students. We are going to be going over, for those of you who were not in class, we are going to be going over your essential question for your final essay. The semester is coming to a close, and it's really important that since you were not in class, that you understand how important this final essay is going to be for your grade in Honors English. The first half of your grade was the Unit 3 test. That was worth 24 points. And then now you're going to have a 24-point final essay for civil rights literature. We have gone over the essential question from the very first day, which is to explain how words have the power to inspire change. How do words inspire change? But now we're going to change up the essential question. And it's going to be explain how words have the power to provoke, calm, and inspire change. And if you remember, if you remember the time we went over this in class, provoke means to cause a reaction, which means that if you are going to provoke someone, such as what Martin Luther King Jr. did in his speech, "I Have a Dream," when he says that the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty, and that he has come to this nation to cash a bad check, they are trying to tell you that they are trying to provoke people to make a change and understand how the African American felt and probably still feels to this day. For instance, if you think about Robert F. Kennedy after Martin Luther King Jr. was shot, he used his words in that speech to calm the American people at a time when they were most likely going to remain violent because the leader of the civil rights movement had been shot in Memphis, Tennessee. And so he used his words to inspire the people to remain calm. And if you think about really all of these people in the civil rights unit, they all inspired change. Their words were very inspirational, such as Maya Angelou, how her words inspired change. So I want you guys to think about all the sources that we have gone over in this unit to write your essay. And these are a few requirements that you need to do. You need to have at least 2 sources from Unit 3 in your final paper. Your introduction and your conclusion need to be at least 3 sentences long. Your body paragraphs, you need to have at least 2 of them. If you have more than 2 body paragraphs, that's wonderful. Your essay is going to be based on the SBAC rubric that I will give each of you a copy in class. Your body paragraphs, you can actually have more than 2 because I can give you up to a 30 on a 24-point essay if it really wows me. Your body paragraphs need to have 10 sentences in each paragraph. You need to follow that TT-EAT, which is the topic sentence, transition in, evidence, analysis, and then you're going to transition out. And we're going to go over all of that here soon. Your essay needs to be at least 26 sentences total. And remember that each body paragraph needs 2 pieces of evidence in quotes and is cited the better or best way. If you remember how in class we did the embedding quotes, and you don't want to do it the good way. You want to do it the better or best way, which is utilizing those brackets, making sure that if the character says it, that it is in double quotes, and if the author and the character are saying it, then you need to triple quote it, okay? The brainstorming tree, that is something that is not optional. You are going to use your brainstorming tree to come up with ideas for your paper, and we'll go over that in class as well. And we actually went over that a little bit today, where you use your brainstorming tree to use the branches to put your ideas. And then the very top of the brainstorming tree, you are going to put your thesis statement. And the bottom of the tree is going to have your essential question, which is, how can words inspire change? And so what we're going to do is, this can be very overwhelming, so we're going to take this essay in steps. And the first things I want you to do as you are gathering your evidence today is I want you to think about your thesis statement, which is going to be the overall point that you're going to make in your paper. Everything that you write this entire paper about should come back to your thesis statement. That is the goal. That is your guiding light for your paper. Okay. And then once you do your thesis statement, you're going to start gathering evidence from at least 2 sources on how those people's words inspired change. Okay. And following the outline that I provided for you in class, if you're not going to turn the outline in, but if you're going to follow the outline, then that will make writing your essay a lot easier. These are all the sources you can use in your paper. It's pretty much all the sources that we went over in Unit 3. I am going to show you in class a model of how to write an essay, and I'll give you a couple of sentence starters that will be helpful to you. But if you look at, we did a Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, 1963. You can look at certain people's words, like John Lennon's song Imagine was inspirational and calmed the American people. To Kill a Mockingbird was inspirational but also provoking. Remarks on the Assassination of Martin Luther King by Robert F. Kennedy. That's the speech that he made after Martin Luther King was shot that we went over a few minutes ago. And that was those words that he said calmed the American people. Okay, so you can look at any of these sources that we went over. And since you were not in class, you need to come with your brainstorming tree, at least having all the evidence on the tree. Just be working on it. Your peer review draft is going to be due Friday at the beginning of class. You need to have it printed out before because no one is going to be running to the library. Your rough draft is going to be optional, so if you do not want your peers to look at it and you don't want me to look at it, that is fine. But if you would like to look over this draft and take it home and give you notes over the weekend, I don't mind. Just make sure you leave it on my desk. Your final draft is going to be due the day of the finals. And this is actually, hard copy has been changed to Google Classroom. I want everyone to submit their copy to Google Classroom. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to take writing an essay in steps. That way you're doing thesis statement and then evidence today. And when you come, your brainstorm tree needs to be flooded with evidence. I'm going to be looking over all of the missing work. Make sure you're doing some other things. And then if you look here, now that we're only focusing on the thesis statement and the evidence, we're going to then move to the next day of steps, which is going to be transitioning in, transitioning between, and transitioning out. So if you think about it, Wednesday we're going to be thinking about transitions. Thursday we're going to do introduction and conclusion. And if you follow all of these steps, you will be fine because you will have followed the outline that I provided for you. And you missed, tomorrow we're going to be going over transitioning in, transitioning between. There are some words that make your paper sound very sophisticated when you are writing. And if you use transition out is the statement you put at the end of your body paragraphs that ties back to your thesis statement. So your thesis statement should appear at least 4 different times in your paper. Your thesis statement is going to be the last sentence in your introduction, and then you're going to have at least 2 transition out statements which tie back to your thesis statement. And then in your conclusion, you're going to restate your thesis statement in your own words. In order to make sure your paper sounds smooth and well written and clear to your reader, you need to make sure that your thesis statement is constantly tied back to and made sure that your reader knows that everything that you provide as evidence and analysis is going to support your thesis statement. Because if it does not, then it should not be in your paper, because a topic sentence, your transition statements should tie back to your thesis, and pretty much everything that you analyze and you find evidence for should support your thesis, which is the overall idea you're trying to get across to your reader. So you're going to go through all of these different steps And I want you to know that you are free to use as many sources as you like, but I want you to understand that your body paragraphs should be, for instance, you're going to put Martin Luther King in one body paragraph, but you're not going to put Harper Lee in the same paragraph. You should think of it as every source is special enough to have their own body paragraph. So, for instance, if you're going to talk about Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Robert F. Kennedy, then each one of those people should have their own individual body paragraphs. Okay? So this is going to be your final essay. I don't want you guys to start getting lazy towards the end of the semester because it's going to come up quick. And I want you to think about how much time we have spent on all of these sources in the unit and how their words have inspired, provoked, and calmed change. Thank you.